Never stop learning because life never stop teaching. Welcome to Focus on Education on KG Flash with me, Ambassador Jimmy Josh. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Nairobi, Kenya time, and from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Monrovia, Liberia town. This program looks into the comparative analysis and appreciation of the education systems of Liberia, Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world with my everyday guests. Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are following all live on the KG Flash. I would like to officially welcome you to the third edition of the program Focus on Education. Today, we have our guests in studio in person of Pastor Jackson Doboyou, right?
Yes, Doboyou.
Doboyou. Okay, so who is Pastor Jackson Doboyou?
Thank you very much for this innovative program. I'm Jackson T.W. from Liberia. Uh, I have been pastoring church, scriptural chapel ministry for some time now. And then I attended the University of Liberia, where I studied biology and chemistry.
Wow.
And so that I did my undergraduate program there, and I obtained my first degree. And I have been teaching for quite a number of years now. Uh, I'll be opportune to serve as a supervisor of a school in Johnsonville. And then from there, by the grace of God, I obtained a scholarship from the World Bank through the Ministry of Education. And I was channeled to my department, Teachers College, now College of Education, to study my master's of degree in science education. And my field of study is biology. And so I'm here at Kenyatta University pursuing my master's in science education. Thank you very much.
Science education. What is the importance of science education?
Yeah, science education, as we all see it, is the bedrock. It's very important to the development of a nation. When think about technology, we think about the industrial development, economical development, all stem from science education. Now, as we see around the world during the 21st century, where we have uh, Francis Crick and James Watson, who were able to discover the DNA and the double helix. And from that time up to this time, uh, biology or science had taken different trend. There where we have many scientists entering the field using the DNA to be able to clone. We have a field of study called biotechnology, wherein food are being produced, where beverages are being produced, where people are able to produce bread and other stuff, and they even use yeast. Now, around the world these days, you see cloning, where we have genetically modified organism, GMO. And if you have a rice that contains carbohydrate and you want to see the rice producing, maybe containing a vitamin like vitamin A, you will take the DNA of the carrot. The carrot has vitamin A. So the DNA of the carrot will be extracted and will be inserted in the DNA of that particular rice, and then at the end of the day, that rice will start producing vitamin A, and the color will become like that of the carrot. So science is so important to the development of our nation as we just emerged from the 14 years civil crisis. So through this science knowledge, our country will be able to take a different level, and development will even start to emerge.
Now, people who are watching you now on the KG Flash, they have listened to you very clearly, all learning the importance of science education. And you have an experience back home. You have taught science education for many years. Now you are here at the Kenyatta University trying to advance it. That's why you are pursuing a master degree in the science education.
Sure.
How since you came, how are you? What is the observation when it comes to Kenyatta University or the education system of Kenya?
Okay, thank you very much for that. Uh, I have observed so many things, although I'm still observing. I'm still carry on my naturalistic observation in the empirical environment. And Kenyatta University, their science department, in fact, they have a department called Kenyatta University Female Scholars, Female Science Scholars. They have a department for that, and that is they invest in the female to encourage them in STEM education. STEM education has to do with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the science has three units that will have, or three subjects. We have the physics, the chemistry, and the biology, which is my field. Now, if you look at it, science has three cardinal points or bedrocks on which it shrink to have a full uh, implementation of science. They will have the applied science, have the, the, the basic science, and they'll have technology. So basic and applied science, they provide knowledge to be applied in technology, and this caused a nation to improve in terms of development. But when we look at Kenyatta University or Kenya, even from the national goal that had to do with national development, also focusing on technology, we can see the picture, how the country is developing, even on the campus. You see, so they are implementing the knowledge from this basic research and applied research, and then apply them in technology, and to see how they can move forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so the thing about you, you just mentioned that there is a specific department for female science students.
sure.
And do such do exist back home in Liberia?
This is our my ardent prayer for the universities in Liberia, that they will be able to incorporate this system or integrate this system there. But since I've been there, I have not seen this department specifically for the females.
If you say that science education is so important, why many females, like the area you highlighted under the STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, why in Liberia many females, abstain themselves from getting involved into such program?
I read a journal, and then it tries to picture the problem when it comes to STEM education in Liberia. And as we all know that our country suffered from a 14 years civil crisis. But before then, the 50s, between the 50s and the 80s, Liberia had a vibrant educational system wherein we have some seasoned instructors and professors from Nigeria, from UK, United Kingdom, from Ghana, and from other parts of the world. And there we saw students from other countries enrolling into our various universities to, to acquire higher education. Science education was established. Also, we have well-established laboratory and other things. But during the civil crisis, everything got destroyed. And after the war, we had series of challenges in Liberia when it comes to science
Now,
education.
I hold you there when you talk about challenge, because challenges link with weaknesses.
Yeah.
Since you came, can you clearly identify some of the challenges back home, or we call the strength and
Yeah.
the weaknesses of both the Kenya education system and that of the education system in Liberia, Africa, or the world as large?
Yeah, so this is what I was trying to point out. We have from that journal, it says that Liberian teachers, they have limited experience and they have low efficacy when it comes to teaching science in Liberia. Most of them are not trained, most of them are not educated to the various uh, strategies of teaching, like we have the heuristic strategy and the expository strategy. They are not actually schooled to that. So at the end of the day, they make science education to appear very boring, very difficult, challenging to the students. And the attitude of our teachers towards science it echoes back to our students to see science to be something that is just something to just learn by rote and not meaningful learning. And so through that, science appear to be very challenging. And most research in Liberia point out that the lack of laboratory is one of the challenges to, to the teaching, to the meaningful teaching of science. But I have also found out that the various teaching methods that are being used in the classroom, we need to assess these methods to know how teachers are teaching. But science is very
Are you
important.
talking about methods used by Liberian school
Yeah,
teachers
by Liberian
or
school
by
teachers.
Kenyan education system teachers
We
or at the world at large?
Yeah, actually, looking at our country, and I just emerged from that civil crisis, we have to assess the method they are used. The various countries like the sub-Saharan educational system, and even in Kenya, they have good system. They have good strategies that they are using. As I talked about the new methods, the heuristic method of teaching, and the expository. And then they also integrate technology in the real classroom to be able to create the curiosity of the students to be able to see science, to concretize those things that we teach as abstract in Liberia. How can you teach science? Science is practical. Science is practical. And science you have to see, and then it will lay an indelible imprint on your mind to know how science is being studied. But if you learn by rote, you won't be able to enjoy science. That's why the Liberian students are crying for laboratory.
You have all learned weaknesses. Can you identify a strength, at least a strength in a Liberian education system when it comes to science education?
Yeah, at least thank God that even according to the journal that I read, it says every growing nation it depends on a plenitude and qualified teachers in the science area. That is, you should train them. And this is what World Bank had done. And a lot of donors and NGOs and other entities are training teachers. So when it comes to that, at least our teachers are trying to teach, even though few schools have laboratory and few of them also carry on heuristic method of teaching and other stuff in order to raise students. The reason I'm saying this is that we have some of our students enrolling in the medical schools and to be able to, to pursue STEM education. And these are some important things, yeah, that we are now getting into.
Now, you came here in Kenya, you only highlighting strategies and methods. How about the way tests are being constructed?
Yeah, that is another method of teaching. which leads to meaningful learning and self-directed learning also. And the construction of tests in Kenya is quite different from ours, or maybe since they have the operating system of education, and that has to do with essay.
But do you think that construction of the exams here in Kenya can Liberian stakeholders or educators or teachers can incorporate that style of constructing tests?
Oh yes, I would say yeah, 100% yes. One thing I want to point out is that this essay method of testing, it motivates students' study habits. It encourages in-depth study, and the multiple choice uh, type of testing, it just motivate or encourages rote learning, learning something that learning something that you don't really understand. That is a good learning. So looking at this, if we can incorporate or if we can incorporate this particular testing method in Liberia, it will, even though it will create challenges to our students, they would maybe balm off the teachers based on essay because most of them they don't really appreciate essay. Yeah, but this is good. And if you look at Kenya, the Kenyans on the level of the expression when it comes to speaking and writing, you can see the fluency. Why? Because it stems from the essay writing. That is during test time, just essay. And essay makes you to be able to express yourself and you don't depend on anybody, self-dependent. Uh, but Liberia, you see, then that we most often use multiple choice or other testing style, fill in the blank. We see most of our students deriving during test time. You see, some school test hall is noisy, but yeah, you don't find noise. Everybody quiet, focused, self-dependent, and doing their work. And this is very good. And I will recommend that the Ministry of Education will also enforce this in our rural schools to encourage meaningful learning.
What can you say about academic crimes?
Academic crime, plagiarism, and other things in Kenya, even though one of the professors told me that they are also fighting against that, but it's not as rampant as people may think. They try to control, to curtail it. Like even if you look at their test papers, every test paper at the bottom of the test paper,
The answer book.
the answer book, the answer booklet, and all their, it is written there that any academic fraud or plagiarism will lead to a discontinuation at the university.
Meaning you'll be automatically terminated.
Yes,
Wow.
and they are very serious on that. And even if you visit their test hall, because for me, I served as an
Invigilator.
invigilator several times, and I was like surprised because I was expecting the student to spy.
But now here is the problem. The the exams are like they are not standardized tests. Okay, they are teacher made tests.
Sure.
Okay. Now welcome back to the third edition of the program Focus on Education on KG Flash. My guest in studio is Pastor Jackson Doboyou, a master candidate at the Kenyatta University pursuing science education. Pastor Jackson, before we took the break, you were highlighting some importance of science education,
So
and you were now. I would like you. How can you compare and contract the Liberia education system to that of the education system in Kenya?
yeah, the Liberia education system, we are trying anyway. We thank God for where we are now. And I want to appreciate World Bank and I also want to appreciate all our donors who are sponsoring our Liberian students to travel to different parts of the world to gain new experience to come back. I think we are on a new level. We are now directed to doing the actual thing. So we are coming out of the darkness.
Yeah, you just talked about trying. What are some of the positives?
Okay.
Like you could say that maybe this is positive. There should be no reform. Okay, this is negative. We need to work on this as a people, especially you as an educationist.
Yeah, so the positive part of the Liberian education system how to do with when we look at our curriculum, at least it is comparable to that of
You think the curriculum is developing students for job market? Do
for
you
Liberia.
think it's very competent? In creating or developing students' competency for the market, the job market.
For Liberia, that's why we talk about CBC, the competent-based curriculum. So, actually, yes, because many students that graduate from Liberia University, they are able to be employed. So, I would say yes to towards that. And when I talk about the curriculum, I talk the similarity when talk, for biology now. It is similar to that of what is being taught here in KU, but the structuring need to be revisited.
Okay, so now the next thing is that you have an education system in a country called Liberia. Do you have any other idea, okay, concerning other education sector apart from Liberia, apart from Kenya, like in Africa?
Doing what?
How they are structured, how they administer the exams, how they
Yeah,
carry on the methods and styles of teaching, the strategy they use.
yeah. So in East Africa, and actually, if you look at Kenya, you look at Nigeria, they were colonized by the British people. So they have similar system of education, but maybe they may diverse in front. But what I see is that they all have maintained the same system when it comes to testing, comes to teaching. Yes, they actually uh, focus on competence. Yeah, like one of our instructors said these few days that his focus is on our understanding, how well we understand, but not about the grade.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what can you recommend?
Well, my recommendation to the government of Liberia through the Ministry of Education had to do with in Liberia, many researchers commented that the recent science education is not meaningfully learned or pursued is that the lack of science laboratory is one thing. And but that is not only the thing. I also recommend that you is one of the things that Ministry of Education or the STEM department should focus and be able to input or buy those apparatuses that are needed for those various schools. And the private sectors, the various administrators should try. They shouldn't just focus on consuming, on building farm houses, but you should focus on the future development of the nation through the competent students that they are processing, because the people we are preparing today, they will take over tomorrow. So we should focus on our personal aggrandizement and forget about the education development of our students. So they should be able to.
What are some profession that if a child today is in a secondary school and they want to get involved in the science, what are some of those profession or those job market areas
Yeah,
that tomorrow, to say for example, you say if you get involved more in the science, you can end up becoming a nurse, you can end up becoming a doctor. What are some of those?
yeah, we have scientists. Liberia now we need scientists. We need medical doctors. We need engineers, civil engineers, electrical engineers, and a lot area. So we need scientists. Could you imagine 2014 Ebola? We had to import scientists from other countries to come and help fight this disease while Liberians were there. So it's because that the lack of interest to pursue science education is making Liberia to seek for other scientists from other countries. So we need more scientists. We need health workers.
Recently on the news on the BBC, we were told that there were 6 countries. Okay, 6 countries needed. the World Health Organization have approved to give machines, okay, so that they can be able to produce their own COVID vaccine because of the large demand of COVID vaccine, and the World Health Organization cannot continue to supply.
You see,
For example, they have Egypt, South Africa, they have even the Kenya that we in. Okay, Kenya was second on the list. Do you dream of one day when they are naming 4 countries in Africa for such a program for science discovery? Liberia can be part of.
Liberia is not exempted when it comes to scientific innovation and development worldwide or globally. Liberia is one of the global countries that means serious development in terms of technology. So I will be glad. I think we have some scientists in Liberia that will have Christopher Yang.
Dr.
Is
Chris now.
Dr. Chris Yang is one of the scientists, and I think he did extremely well to have discovered a machine that could test, I think, 7 strain of viruses. So that is a very good thing. I thought about him so much in my science classes, Dr. Chris Yang. And,
Sometimes,
and, and so I think we need more Dr. Chris Yang in Liberia.
why do you think the West always look and for our the brightest man of Africans and go and incorporate them and even give them citizenship, naturalize them
You,
in especially the West?
the Americans
Like
or the
there's
Western.
another scientist from Ghana. I can't recall his name, but he has been uh, admitted into they have that seminar for scientists around the world,
Yeah,
only especially for the Americans. He has been admitted. He has been the first black man to be admitted in such a program,
you see that.
and he's from Ghana.
Okay. So they
Why are they taking him for themselves rather than the people of Ghana taking pride in their own son?
you see the Americans, or I would say the
I give
Western.
you an example again.
Yeah,
Even what we call M-Pesa.
yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
in Kenya,
Yeah,
there's a guy from the University of Nairobi was the one who discovered M-Pesa. Okay, but today he live in the state. His family, they gave him a lucrative job. He going through the process of naturalization to become an American citizen. He discovered that.
yeah.
Yeah, in Kenya. Why?
So this is so because you see, let me just talk about America because your scenarios or examples were focused on in America. You see, America is so great, and what made America great is that, and that's the same thing I want to recommend that we do in Liberia.
Okay.
America, the greatness of America stems from being uh, uh, they are so focused when it comes to development. Anyone they see that is creative, they are willing to take you to support you, and your creativity or your innovation, they will take it, and you will apply that in your system, and that will cause them to start to grow. So if you look at that, there is a symbiotic or a mutualistic relationship, and they most often focus on people to get them to improve their system. In Liberia, if you see somebody that sings well, we won't talk about the person. We won't even try to motivate or encourage them or support them, or rather, we will what, degrade them, we discourage them, we embarrass them with all set of questions and all of things that I may not be able to pitch up now. At the end of the day, the star, the interest, the ability of that person will start to die down. But America is not that. So American, what they do there, they look among themselves. Anyone who is trying in science in any other career or what ability, they break it up. Look at Kenyatta University. They have, I don't know how they call that department where they incubate, they call it incubation, I think incubation and innovation. If you have any talent, you can go there and register, and they will incubate, they will break out that talent in you, and you'll begin to serve a country, and your country will begin to develop. Liberia, this is one of our weaknesses. That it is very difficult. Look at this young boy who died. I didn't hear about him until when he died before I started hearing about a wonderful son. He's called Quincy.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear about him. But when the boy died, see, I wonder they were celebrating because of the death. So Liberia, we need to have our eyes open there is a guard he has at the Liberia National something called Opa Weeks at the one journalist, and he's actually doing well. He go around and then feature these people like one other boy who was innovative, created some planes using cartoon. These people they are creative. The STEM education and the military education need to focus these people and be able to sponsor them in their area of study. They will do well, and in near future, you see that boy who use cartoon to manufacture plane. He will begin to, and then you will open aircraft or industry in Liberia, and you will have access to
Do
these
you
things.
think there are sufficient investment done in science education in Liberia?
I don't think so. Like I said, the Americans who serve as our father, they focus on STEM education. I talk about a quarter of $1 trillion that is being invested in 1999 in the apply research, in basic research, and then they invested 61% of that money to technology development.
Wow.
So in Liberia, that's what I'm recommending that the budget for the military education, they should be able to allocate a good portion of that money to the STEM department, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics at the Ministry of Education that will be able to feature the various sectors when it comes to science, STEM education in Liberia. I think we will do well.
Do you think secondary schools back in Liberia is important for them to have career counselors, guardian counselors?
This is another problem we have in Liberia. We have a lot of education psychologists graduating from the University of Liberia with a bachelor's degree in that particular field of study. But it's very difficult to find a psychologist stationed at a school who is just there and not teaching and there to provide counseling. There's something we
Career,
call,
how about career counseling?
yeah, everything fall into that one nutshell.
Okay.
There's something we call reinforcement. And this is what emanates from the particular psychologist. Now, in Liberia, many students they tumble and just guessing what to do as a career.
But let me hold you there. In Kenya, the career counselors are not actually all teachers in Kenya based on the CBC curriculum
Mhm.
are considered to as career counselors because they are the one responsible to identify the talents
Yeah.
in the students. But it's not of the case because the CBC curriculum call for that.
Mhm.
But in Liberia, our curriculum do not call for that.
Yeah, we don't even see it
So it
there.
means that it's important, right?
Yeah, we don't see it yet, and we need it. We need it, and in fact, we need to do something that students should not just predict or choose their career, because you see somebody who did biology or, or chemistry or physics or mathematics, and your GPA, your grade point average is just something like 2 points, then you want to specialize in a field of study. You won't do well. You see,
What?
so most of our students they are self-directed when it comes to choosing their life career, and you find that at University Library that many people stay pursuing one field of study for 10 years, and just that I think that time should have been 4 years, 3 or 4 years maximum.
For
But you
the
see,
science areas, right? Engineering.
science, because somebody doing this, so myself I want to follow. So we need to have a structure set in Liberia wherein that is being practiced here in Kenya, and it's good. Where you perform well, that through the counseling of the psychologist will direct you. This is your area. It's not about which, but where you perform best. Because we are looking at the development of our country, industrially, economically, and all the other various sectors.
As I learned, that's how the people of Kenya do. For national exam, the one we call wire or wax, back in Liberia, they look at the results and make a
Yeah,
determination
yeah,
which area of studies you're going to do
yeah.
at the different universities.
That's it.
I also understood that there's no entrance. You don't read entrance to enroll at the university in Kenya.
Yeah, based on how you graduated, based on your GPA. Yes,
But while
because
everyone at the university, before you go at the university level, you have to write entrance. Do you think that we should see education in another way?
yeah, so that where we talk about a new trend in education, There where in Liberia we need to have a new mindset when it comes to education. We need to put away that archaic system of education in Liberia. That
How about the statement that says when the capable is not available, the available is capable?
some
Now, many people are graduating from secondary schools and they are found in the classroom as teachers. We're all going through teacher training. Like in Kenya, before you teach, they must give you a teaching number that qualifies you because they have to investigate your academic documentations and then they will qualify you with that teaching number as a teacher and you have to have a teacher number. It's not that in Liberia. Do you think it's a unique system that when you get back as a science educationalist, you can encourage or suggest the national government that it's important for us to look in that direction? Do you think it will help to develop the competence of the students?
Thank you very much.
Somebody went at the university and did mathematics in
Yeah.
science college, but now they are teacher of mathematics or having a basic background of teaching.
And I read something in psychology of education, and they talk about the pre-scientific method of teaching, the traditional pre-scientific method of teaching, and this has to do with a person who is not trained in certain area, and because the administrators won't want to pay, you know, certain amount of money to you, they'll just bring it. They just incorporate you in the system. I teach biology, and I apply to teach biology. Oh no, no vacancy, but come and teach phonics or come and teach French. I don't have any education. I'm not schooled to teach French, neither literature. So at the end of the day, I will begin to lie to the student. And what I'm doing
You
there,
just talked about law. Let me bring a scenario.
yeah,
My brother in Kenya, he brought his daughter from back home, Labrador, 7 to 8 years old daughter. She's supposed to begin. She was like in grade three. But when they brought her, they said no, she got to start from the beginning, which is grade one. Now, at that time, there was COVID. So schools were not having physical learning. So they prepared lessons and gave to parents to teach. And like this. He went to the school to register the child. And then he asked the people, what are some of the requirements that I need to procure so that I can be able to teach this child at home. Do you know what they told him?
no,
They said, no, we cannot give you any requirement in terms of book, and we cannot authorize you to teach a child because you are not a teacher, and we don't want you to mislead this child.
hmm.
And this is a person who is doing masters in microbiology at
See
the
that?
Kenyatta University.
Well,
But they are telling him that he is not qualified to teach his daughter that's in grade one, and they don't want him to mislead the child. Can you
sure.
imagine that?
And that I think as a parent, your child is like an account, is your bank. You deposit or you invest in your child. Tomorrow, you'll be able to get something from the child. And in Liberia, every student in Liberia is for the Liberian people or for the country of Liberia. So the way we handle our students today, that's how the country will become tomorrow.
In summary, in summary, what one line sentence can you put forth as a practical first step to solve some of the challenges that we are faced with in Liberia?
Well, uh, I will say that the Ministry of Education is trying, but what I want them to do, or I suggest, is that when it comes to STEM education in Liberia, there should be a specific budget for that particular field of study. And that budget will be used to purchase these materials, equipment for the various schools across Liberia. That alone will create the zeal, the curiosity, the interest of the teachers and the students. And that will lead to national development industrially.
So, in closing, uh, what do you have to say in closing? Maybe you want to talk about something that we didn't ask.
Well, I want to say first of all, thank you to Ambassador Jimmy George, who have been leading this. badge at KU successfully. I love his leadership style. What I want to say here is it's a good program. Uh, Education in Liberia, basically science education, we need to do more. And this I say to the STEM department at the Ministry of Education that we need to focus more on science education. We are doing best, but we have to move forward to be able to solicit more funding to invest them in our department or in our sector to have our children coming out the best. And the next thing is that I will recommend that we conduct series of research, the basic and applied research in the in sciences. That sponsorship should be given to Liberian science students to do series of research in the science sector because research is one of the best ways to solve problems. And if we are seeing that series of problems in our science sector in Liberia, then I would recommend that we sponsor Liberian science students. We are here in order to conduct series of workshop to rectify the various lapses that we have in Liberia. Through this research, we'll be able to outline the various weaknesses in Liberia and how to address them. And by applying them, I wish Liberia is success.
Thank you, Pastor Jackson,
Thank you
for
very much.
coming to our studio.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. To focus on education on KG Flash with me, Ambassador Jimmy Josh. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Nairobi, Kenya Town, and from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Monrovia, Liberia Town. This program looks into the comparative analysis and appreciation of the education systems of Liberia, Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world with my everyday